Which of the 4 lands in the Sword of Shannara trilogy would you be most likely to call home, and why?
I honestly don't remember the lands. I'd have to take a refresher on that.
Okay.
So, yeah, I don't.
Didn't get super nerdy with that.
Okay, so
if there was an elf, if you can tell me.
Or let's just, which race would you most identify with?
I love the druids.
Excuse me?
So the cool thing about Shannara is that, so like in Lord of the Rings, you don't really know a lot about the wizards. You know, I haven't read like the Son, like Tolkien didn't write too much about the wizards, at least in the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit.
That was always a downer for me.
But his son wrote like a whole history of Middle Earth, and there's a lot more in there. And that's basically whenever you like the White Orc and all that crap that's in the Hobbit movies, all that stuff is pulled out of the son's books. It's not out of the Hobbit. It's not out of Lord of the Rings. It's out of the history of Middle Earth. And it's bogus. They should have left it all out.
Gotcha.
So, but the druids in Shannara, the druids are like, there's a lot more about them, and there's a lot more history, and so yeah.
There's more meat on the bones there.
Yeah,
on that.
Yeah.
All right, so Jeremy, another one. What is the most glaring?
Wait! I get to ask a question now. No, rapid fire. Now it's my turn. It's my turn to ask a question, Josh.
Welcome back to the Maven Show. I am Aaron Hoffman. With me are Josh Malone and Jeremy Brown.
Howdy.
Hope y'all are doing really well out there.
Oh, man.
It's been a minute since we've been able to get one of these out to you.
Yep.
Just so busy running around, doing a bunch of real estate related stuff.
Real estate, I'm sure you're all's babies or,
Lots of good problems.
Yeah, right?
No, they're doing great.
Yep.
I mean, our Sadie, the newest of the bunch, she's just growing.
She's like the happiest baby I've ever seen.
She really is.
She'll just like sit there and smile at you for pretty much an hour straight if you want. Like
she does. She does. No, she's just super happy. So that's been incredible to experience that instead of just the screaming and the more screaming.
I hate the world
and the things related.
Thing.
Yes, yeah.
Isn't she teething right now? Or has she started teething?
We don't know.
Oh, okay.
This is a mystery.
I gotcha.
So
she would be like the earliest baby I've ever heard of.
So young for doing it. So she's like almost 4 months. It's something like that.
Yeah.
See, Sophie's had the 2 teeth on the bottom now for like over a month now.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Weird. We don't know.
Have my dates off.
She's got. I don't know. I have no idea when they're supposed to have teeth. I have no idea.
So
But she's a brown, so she's well equipped for
eating.
You had your first tooth. You had your first tooth. Correct me if I'm wrong, Jeremy. Your first tooth you were 2 months.
I don't remember. I think it was like 2.5. If I remember correctly, it was when I was 2.5.
If I remember,
which was perfect because you about 4 months, 4 months old, you were eating beef jerky. Just strips of jerky.
Yeah, had to get that protein up.
So enough about that thing regarding your the age you were when you first had teeth. But yeah, great to be with you all and visit again once more. We've just been doing a bunch of real estate stuff and growing our brokerage and having agents who are getting their licenses and they're wanting to join us. We'll talk a little bit more about that.
Yep.
Here in just a moment.
And shrinking. We've been growing and shrinking.
That's right. That's right. This has been for the first time for myself actually getting on some sort of diet.
It's like a dirty word. You like feel like a horrible person, like a Karen or something, whenever you use the word diet.
It's not a diet. It's a lifestyle. Okay.
That's right.
So I started doing keto, which you have done numerous times, which was part of why even talking about it. Yes. I had some sort of exposure to, okay, this is how this needs to work. And this is what you avoid. And
I've never tried to be super evangelistic or, dragging people into it. I very much believe in it. Like, I think it works really well.
That's not true.
Well, I mean, not that. Yeah. Anyway, I knew I was never going to convince you.
Only people I'm around.
I knew I was never going to convince you. So I just kind of like, okay. He'll get around to it whenever.
Was the thought process primarily like once I bloat to a certain size and stature, you're going to be like, you know what? Once that
guy's fat enough, he'll understand.
Once that first digit gets close to a 3, he'll probably start second guessing some of his life choices.
It was more like once we get far enough along in the business and family stuff to where we're not just constantly overwhelmed with other responsibilities, then okay, he'll have time to.
There is some that there's planning. I mean, I guess that's probably the biggest thing associated with it is at least starting out. There's more planning for meals and snacks because I'm totally the kind of person who it's going to be, okay, I just finished work. I may have not have eaten all day.
Right.
It's, 9 o'clock or something. And I'm just like, I'm going to eat everything. Yep. And so, especially getting something sweet at the end of the day.
Yep.
So I had to strategize. Yes. I had to strategize in a way that I was going to have hope in actually succeeding.
Because you had your snackies that, you could actually eat.
That's right.
Honestly, I think the thing is when people feel overwhelmed and like, hey, I don't have the bandwidth for it. It's some of it is because they overestimate how much you have to think about it too. Like, cause it actually is way easier. Like,
it's just early on. It's just when I started, there was
to get the initial concepts and stuff. It's like, that's what's intimidating whenever you're just too busy.
Yeah.
So, but how's that gone for you?
I'm like a little over 20 pounds down and about 50 days into it.
Which is awesome.
That's awesome.
So that's thanks. But I could notice a difference energy wise within like 3 days. I could notice a difference energy wise for myself.
Yeah.
Which was this, I had no idea that I was basically just trying to exist and do a bunch of work and not sleep and just all the time.
Right. Right.
At the same time, while not feeling like doing anything really, I was just used to it.
It's amazing what you accomplished while you were doing that. Because I've always thought of you like you're at Animal Farm. You're like boxer. You're boxer. You are boxer.
Is that right?
Yeah.
That's just maybe that's a good question.
But please don't die.
That's just
wow. Oh my gosh. We need you.
Well, that was part of it. I'm kind of like, okay, I really don't want to have a heart attack by the time that I'm 35, and I probably need to get on, fixing some of these things, some of these habits I've developed.
Yeah.
To where it was just so much of my diet was just carbs and sugar.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Which, as far as like the energy stuff, like if you get on carbs, you eat a big carby meal, it's like you just want to go take a nap for 4 hours or something.
Oh yeah.
And when you have a lot of that kind of you're digesting, because a lot of that actually has to ferment in your, bowels. That's part of that whole process. And so
there we go.
Your body getting rid of it even like takes a lot more time and takes.
So you really got into the science involved with this, which is not. Which is not at all that shocking.
I shouldn't have said that
when we think about it. But no, for me it was okay. I've heard enough that I think this is worth trying. I was frankly getting too fat, though disguising it well because I'm tall.
Right.
You carry it well.
Thanks. And I've got to try it. I've got to try something. And so I was able to do stuff that's because you can't really have like chips. It's like chips, bread. So I'm like, what can I substitute for that? I've talked to you about the pork rinds. It's like 4505, I think is the name of the brand of pork rinds. They've got like a spicy jalapeno cheddar.
I haven't even tried that one.
Dynamite. It's really good.
I don't know how comfortable I am with the whole discussion of pork rinds, but that's neither here nor there.
They've got, they're delicious. But to have a little bit of a crunch, there's no carbs with them at all.
Sure. Oh yeah, it's all fat. It's all fat.
It's just fat. It's just there's not
fat and
sugar.
crunch and yum.
It's just that's more what it is. It's a substitute for me instead of chips because I could just sit down late at night.
Do your kids like them? Do your kids like pork rinds?
Yeah.
See, every time I get the bag of pork rinds out, my kids are like, "Can I have some pork rinds?" They call them pork rinds. And they love them. And I'm like, no, these are daddy's.
Mine always try them, and then they remember that
can.
they don't like them near as much as they thought they would. But those are really good. I ended up finding something. It's like a brand called Fat Snacks.
Nice.
SNAX.
Nice.
Fat Snacks. And they have different kinds of cookies. And so and they're actually good. Like they actually taste good.
Yeah.
And there's like lemon, peanut butter, chocolate chip, double chocolate, you know.
Do you get those?
If we want to get really fat here, I can go into describing the tasting sensations.
Where do you get them from?
I think we've ordered those through Thrive Market.
Thrive Market. Can we put a link below? Can we put the Thrive in the?
Yeah, I definitely wanted to mention Thrive Market because you can look up stuff on Thrive Market that is keto related.
Really?
Yes, and so that's just a really good source to go to. Just people getting started and trying to figure out like snacks and different like marinades or sauces they can actually use that aren't like super high in sugar content. So we've that's where we've gone. Thrive Market, but those Fat Snacks cookies, fella, that is those are surprisingly for the low sugar amount, and that's like for 2 of them it was like 12 total carbs. So
wow,
yeah, I'm trying to keep every day. I'm trying to keep it 20 or less for carb intake. So
all your carb, like total carbs, total, not
like
not your net carbs.
Net, just
total net, okay, total carbs. Okay,
so it's like tons of salads. You know, but not nothing bread, cracker, chip, none of that stuff.
Yep. None of it. Have you tried anything like the bulletproof coffee or something like that?
But I haven't done it as much because is there a bulletproof form that's like cold?
Ooh.
Anyway, I've
never done cold. I've only done hot. Yeah.
I have no idea if there is, and I've always defaulted to cold brew because it's just been so hot.
Sure. Yeah.
I think you could do. I mean, you couldn't. It'd be really hard to put like butter or something like that in there, but you could do with like the MCT oil because the MCT oil is not. I'm pretty sure it doesn't solidify in the cold.
Yeah. I mean, it would go down colder than butter for sure. Like, I don't know how cold it can get or whatever.
Never really tried it. Never really tried it. I just basically I've defaulted into cold brew. My wife makes cold brew too.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's just for us when it's 90 degrees outside or it's hotter, I'm just like, I really have to have a cold drink. And so it's hot.
No, the reason I ask is like, basically I'll drink, a cup of bulletproof, which is basically coffee, blended together with butter, like really, good butter, like not that cheap,
like
stuff
Kerry
you get at
Gold,
Walmart,
you get
like
Kerry Gold,
the Kerry Gold or the, whatever.
That's some high quality butter.
It's good butter, but you got to have good fats, or else you get all the nasty hormones and stuff that get caught in the fats and stuff. So
that's a no-no. That's a no-no. I take it.
Yeah, it's not good for you. Yeah. So, but the butter and the MCT oil, like the coconut oil derivative, whatever, and throw that all together. It's like you could. I go all day. Like I could go 12 hours on just that cup of fat.
Well, like you've done, and that was honestly the sustained energy was by far. It was the most immediately beneficial thing to it. Obviously, there's the weight loss over time, but the sustained energy that I was experiencing almost
it's
immediately.
Like really flat energy level. Like just it's not high, not low, but just you've got it.
And when you got to have like these, when you have to have these days that are like 14 to 17 hour days or whatever
real
this stuff
estate.
is, then it's just to have that sustained energy throughout the day is a pretty big deal as opposed to just being like feeling very tired and then trying to figure out a way to recover and then just doing that, like cycling through it 3 or 4 times in a day.
Yeah. Well, and so for you, I think it's pretty interesting. Right at the beginning of the process, you actually had some blood work done, talked to your doctor, like all this, and he was on board with you doing that, was familiar with that. And I think it's going to be interesting to watch when you get the blood work back, like what the comparison is. Because so many people think that, you can't eat a high-fat diet, a high cholesterol diet, because we don't want to be fat and we don't want to have a lot of cholesterol in our system.
It's the phobias related to the words.
Yeah. No, that's right. And all the advertising that goes into like Cheerios or something like being the low cholesterol solution, which is, and it's the difference between consumed cholesterol and blood cholesterol. It's just the difference between like consumed fat and blood fat. Because what a lot of people don't know is like a lot of your hormones like testosterone, progesterone are based on the chemical structure that is like cholesterol is the ring structure that is the building block for those, right? And so you have to, if you want to have,
I'm going to stare at you and nod along like, yes,
they're called
right.
sterols. Yeah.
While I'm sitting over here being like, huh? What are you saying?
I'm digging myself a hole in this whole game we're playing later. But they are the same chemical structures. And so a lot of people, if they're on a low cholesterol diet, are going to end up with low testosterone or something like that. Like,
okay.
And it's because you're basically starving your body of the building blocks. The problem is you've got to train your body to allocate those building blocks, like to send it to the testosterone instead of keeping it in your system as cholesterol. And it keeps it in your system as cholesterol when there's a lot of inflammation, like a lot of, your body's reacting to the things in
Doesn't
your
like
body.
cholesterol like clump up next to like inflammation? Like
it's to protect those arteries and things whenever there's inflammation. I'm saying a lot of things, and most of them I think are true. But no. But
this is where we give a disclaimer that none of us are doctors.
I'm not actually a doctor here. I have a biochemistry degree, but that's about it. But the cholesterol is a reaction. It's a reaction. The theory behind it is like it's a reaction to high insulin levels, high sugar levels. Makes your body react, and then you react by having cholesterol in your bloodstream there to protect those arteries and stuff. So anyway, most people who do something like keto, where they're actually measuring what's that difference over time in my blood levels, which you're going to have that experiment on yourself. Right. Most people's experience is, the cholesterol and the bad fats in your bloodstream, they go down dramatically.
Yeah. Totes.
So we're doing like science on you, or you are.
Yeah, apparently I'm just one big, rotund scientific experiment.
That's right. No, because that's what really freaked me out and made me get into it in the first place was I was getting a life insurance policy, and I had to get some blood work done for that.
Right. Yeah.
And the fact that my fat levels were up in the level that was, in the bad level kind of thing, or just even moderately questionable. I was like, good night. This is terrible. And, at the time I was like 240 or something like that. My high school weight had been 215. And I was just like, I gotta change something. So I finally started getting down, it kind of happened in cycles for me where I pushed pretty hard for a while and then kind of chilled out and then pushed hard again. But I ended up getting down like 35 pounds to like 206, I think was the lowest that I got.
Wow.
Which was 10 pounds less than I was in high school. And it wasn't like I was using up all my muscle or something like that. Like I felt really good and whatever. It was just, I had way more to let go of than I even really ever realized. So.
And when was the first time that you actually tried this? How long ago was that?
Wasn't it 2 years ago?
I think 3 years ago.
Was it? Okay.
It was 2 or 3. Yeah.
Because you've done different, because you've done it several times.
Right. Right. Yeah. And really the low was last year when I finally got down to like the 206 level. It was last year. And I held it like without even really trying. I held kind of the 205 to 215 until April or like March, April. I refer to it affectionately as the quarantine 15. Where it was just like, that was when I finally, kind of lost it. But I wasn't even trying that hard. It wasn't like during that window of time I was not eating any, carbs or any sweets or I went on several vacations and didn't really care too much. But, just didn't go.
I can totally see where it's just like some of those things are like, just like bad habits. Like when you go for an extended period of time, forming some of these better habits, just what you're eating, it's maybe not all of it sticks and maybe it's not as strict eventually. Yeah. But I could see where several of these are just going to transfer into, what I eat going forward.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's hope that that's the case.
I'm just curious for both of y'all. So, what with the keto thing, is it just avoiding the carbs or has it mattered around like your caloric intake and like, do you try to restrict yourself on calories at all, or is it just keeping the carbs down?
For me, it's just been carbs and sugars.
Carbs and sugars down.
Looked at, frankly, at all. So now maybe I'm missing something that's actually part.
I was just curious. I don't know.
Yeah, because I don't.
Well, and I think people hit different phases with stuff too, like as you drop. So my thing, whenever I feel like I'm stuck and I'm just like not getting past a certain point, I'll get frustrated and just be like, well, fine, I'm just not going to eat like anything today, or at least, one meal in the evening so that I can't, and that'll usually push through whatever.
That's actually a great point. I will oftentimes not planned, but there might be 3 days a week where I just do intermittent fasting. Like unintentionally go 16 to 20 hours between eating. Just because of the way that the schedule plays out, I'm like, okay, well, this is basically my day. I'm just going to go off of a bunch of water, which for me, I have to drink like 200 ounces of water a day. That's a lot.
It's a lot of water.
Needless to say, that's a lot.
How often do you pee?
Okay.
Often.
That's great.
So probably going to interrupt this show half a dozen times.
That's right.
But no, it's that's a big deal. Drinking a lot of water. I mean, that was so much more than I was drinking regularly previously. But it was. I'll do the intermittent fasting. Just unplanned. It's just part of the day, and that'll happen 3 or 4 times a week.
Yeah.
So I've definitely seen good results from that. It seems.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And it's funny because I think part of the intermittent fasting thing is sometimes you just accidentally end up restricting calories because you're not eating very much.
Yeah.
And
it is hard.
It's all kind
when
of
you have
related.
a short window to consume the food, you still fill up as fast as you would normally. And so it's like, I just can't eat anymore. And so no more calories because can't get any more in there.
That's right.
But the other thing I wanted to ask you about though is how's that affected like sleep patterns and like have you been, because I know you're having problems with,
My wife says that I snore a lot less. And that's probably the case that I sleep better.
Yeah.
It's just like, and I'm sure that's part of why I just feel better energy wise.
Right.
Right. And then I'll be able to, during my sleep, I can fluctuate like 5 pounds in my sleep.
Just all the water you're breathing off.
No, I don't understand any of the science behind that, but I can go from a 278 to a 273 overnight.
There's a really interesting TED talk about weight loss and like fat loss. The way that you like as fat breaks down, it leaves your body. You'd think you like excrete it, but it's actually breath. Like you breathe out fat. Like it's really interesting.
It's like the combustion within the cell, like the carbon dioxide.
I can't remember exactly. Maybe it is the carbon coming out of the fat that's you breathe out.
Yeah. So you breathe in the oxygen that then turns into the carbon dioxide and water, and the carbon molecules that are coming out are the carbon from whatever you're burning. So if you're burning fat, then
it is really interesting that you can literally go to bed and do nothing but breathe and wake up and weigh less. It is pretty crazy.
I thought we were just transitioning into our next segment titled "Let's Discuss the Periodic Table."
My gosh.
Yeah. So Aaron, what's your favorite noble gas?
I just feel like this is all a setup. I feel like this is all a setup for the segment that is actually coming later.
Oh man.
And I resent it. It was so easy.
Oh, you'll just embrace it. That's
fine.
So that's enough on the I'm hopefully not as fat as I once was.
Yep.
But
no,
it sounds really good.
It sounds like a television show. I'm not as fat as I once was.
But I'm as fat as I ever was.
I'm not as fat as I once was.
You've seen some of those. You're flipping through the channels. You'll see like one. There was one I saw the other day that was like 1,000-pound sisters.
Oh my gosh!
I think was the name
That's
of it.
oddly specific.
Yeah.
So like between the two of them, they were 1,000, or they were each.
That's
1,000?
a good question. I don't know if each of them is 1,000 or if collectively.
Yeah. That seems more human.
I had hoped that I really had aspirations for us at one time that the three of us would hit 1,000 pounds together. Now I feel like one of us, with the way that everybody's going, one of us is going to have to bear the weight of the group.
What was our? Oh my gosh!
Are you that man? Are you? You're like, I'll sacrifice for the good of the many.
Oh my! Just got to keep us up. Got to keep us up.
Oh my goodness!
I use a little app called Carb Manager, and it's like you just track your food throughout the day, and then adds it all up for you and makes a little pie chart.
Poor choice.
Pie.
Yeah.
Yum.
It just in the end of it, it
They
shoves
just remind you.
a dessert pastry. Right.
What
in
I'm
your
missing.
face.
Yep. Yep.
Why don't I just have a birthday cake chart? How terribly offensive. The temptation shoved before you. We should note that we're growing as a brokerage. Yes, I am shrinking in my weight, but we are growing as a brokerage.
Bigger and bigger and bigger.
Real estate. So we've
in the last like month and a half or whatever, we've doubled the number of people, something like that.
Yeah. No, that's right.
Yep.
That's right. We want to give a shout out to the folks joining us here.
I figure we'll drop some photos in here too. So last year we had added my brother Mark as an agent.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mark.
Oh, the joys of working with your little brother. Just kidding. He's great.
Hi, Mark.
So we recently added your mom to the team.
Yes.
She had actually done some stuff before. Do what?
It's just
we added your mom.
Hey man, we added your mom.
She's doing great.
She really is.
She's doing some different marketing stuff for us. So, and she's going to be getting her license.
That's awesome.
She will actually be an agent with our team here.
Yep.
And the others, I know Jamie.
Yep.
Jamie is joining our team.
She was one of your past clients.
Past client of mine, yes. And their story of getting the place that they got was fantastic.
Oh my gosh.
One of my favorites.
Oh my gosh.
So she's joining our group. Of course, Mari.
Yep.
Mari's joining Maven Real Estate as well. She just got her license.
Yep.
So, and then for you, another past client of yours is also going to be getting her license.
Affiong. Yep. And Affiong Span, she's already gotten to work and already doing a great job. So I think they're all, I'm really excited to see how they all actually perform out there in the world, because they all seem like they're going to be just excellent additions.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
No, I'm excited about it.
No,
so.
yeah, I mean, because when you're growing and when you're adding people, like one of the big questions is, am I going to find the people who are going to really represent the brand out there, really have the same kind of spirit, the same kind of attitude of like, we have to perform for our clients. We have to go execute, solve the problems, go fix the things, and be willing to sacrifice for those people. Right?
Correct.
That you're serving. And so you always kind of worry, like, are you going to be able to find people who really like hold those standards up? And I just couldn't be more impressed with any of them so far. Like,
and each of them, just visiting with them, I think 2 of them being former clients,
right?
Obviously, because technically my mom is too. Regarding places we sold before. It's just so they know, they've all experienced. At least 3 of the 4 have experienced, how we handle real estate transactions for buying and selling a place, and so from that, they've come to a conclusion. Hey, you know what? If I'm going to do this real estate thing, I want to be a part of the real estate group that y'all are building. Yeah. And that's fantastic to have that sort of confirmation that we're piecing something together here. It's exciting enough.
So. It's exciting enough, not just for them to like send friends and family to, but they're like, no, I want to like spend all my time doing this. Like, but I want my professional career to be aligned with this. You're like, well, wow, that's a lot.
It's awesome. And even I know Mari, even though she's not like a past client of ours or whether, she saw like how we would follow up with people. She liked some of the things we're doing on social media with marketing ourselves.
Right. She's one of our biggest fans on the podcast.
So it's one of those things where she was familiar with some of the stuff that we're doing, where she sees our presence online and some of the follow up we do for people who are interested in buying a place. And she was like, that's unique. That's different. I want to know more about them. And so she was visiting with us, tested, got her license, and now she's coming along with the group.
Yep. And she's full time, so she's gonna accelerate super fast, I think. So you'll be seeing Mari around there.
Yes.
If you're out there about to buy a house or something. So
that's been great. That's been great doing that. So much thrilled with.
It's funny because I think a lot of people are intimidated by like adding more personnel, right? Like self-employed people are like, I want to do it right. Whatever. What have you enjoyed about like adding personnel and building the business, or how is it something that like terrifies you, or is it something that I don't know.
Some of it, I feel like that we've we're into this long enough and we've experienced things and we've learned from past mistakes and we've gained enough of a knowledge base for ourselves that I'm much more comfortable being like, if I have the responsibility of training somebody on how you do this thing right. I feel so much better with where we're at this point than where we would have been, even a couple years ago.
Yeah.
So knowing that that's where we are now, we were talking about this. Maybe this was around April, but around that time, I was telling you, I was like, hey, we need to go ahead and pull the trigger on growing this.
Yeah.
And so I was already, transitioning into that sort of like, just in my own headspace being like, hey, we need to get more agents or we need to figure out how we want to grow this. And so it was shortly after that it was, we were visiting with past clients about it. And then we have, somebody reach out to us wanting to join the brokerage and then all these different pieces falling together in place. So I feel better about it just because of what we've learned to get to where we're at for training people and putting them in the right place as agents.
Yeah. They were not actually just having to BS and be like, oh, maybe you kind of do that thing and maybe it'll work for you.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's just like, and then at the pace at which we can solve their problems that they're going to have, whether it's, the relationships with individuals or for growing their own business in the way that they want to do it. I think there's enough of that we can either we've learned from it or from our own mistakes. We've gained a certain knowledge about how these things operate that we can talk about them, clearly and with conviction and be like, this is, and help just give them really sound advice. Yeah. And then if we don't know, we can probably talk to some people and figure it out.
Yeah.
But I think that's where I love seeing the excitement that they all have.
Yeah.
Like that's one of the things that I love is seeing how excited they are in getting started with this. And just the different directions that they might want to take it. And they see the potential for, how much money they can make.
Oh yeah.
Like they love that it's a field where they can help solve people's problems and serve them in a capacity that's one of the largest investments that people are going to make in their lives.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
and like really have a big impact on serving people, like just making a big dent in somebody's life. Yeah. One of the things that I love about it is just the coaching aspect of it. Like where as a leader in a business, like you can really get in and you're really good at like the X's and O's, like just the really specific details of you set the screen this way, when you have that conversation, if you phrase it this way instead of that way, it's going to totally change the way that they hear it and perceive it. And then, whatever, so that they understand you care about them or whatever. So you're especially good at that. I love the big picture life coaching kind of like, how do you connect this all to everything else that you're dreaming and hoping for when you're looking at building a business, right? Because every person who wants to go out and start a business and wants to be an entrepreneur has a similar set of expectations of what that's going to look like to a large degree, right? Of like and vision for what they're trying to create.
Sure.
But it's like, there are so many pitfalls and so many ways that we've just totally screwed up and, of like how you think you're going to build it, like the sequence of events, the right, exact steps.
People can build their own business. Like it can look different for, depending on what it is and, how they envision that it needs to play out. But there are just some fundamental mistakes that that's one of the things is we can actually speak to the things, the pitfalls that they like, hey, just avoid this, and this is how you avoid it.
Right. Yeah. Right.
A lot of things that we didn't, nobody took the time to tell us not to do.
Yeah. And especially when you're talking about if somebody wants to go search, like, how do I grow a business? How do I do real estate or whatever?
Yeah.
That's how many different voices are in that room when you go to do research online.
Oh, yeah. Because there are 1,000 different ways to build it. But if you don't pick one way to build it and build it that one way first, then you're just...
You want schizophrenic
you're dabbling in this thing and that thing and the other thing and just not.
You can feel like you're trying.
Yeah.
In like all these different ways, but you're really never trying in any of them.
Right. Because you're like, well, I tried this thing for a few hours and then it didn't work. So maybe it's the wrong thing to do. And I'm going to go try this other thing for a few hours. Yeah. And it's like, you spend an afternoon on that. Like you need to spend like a month on that at least to really learn that thing and really understand it before you even given it a shot. Oh, you know, and like that kind of stuff. So it's been awesome. I think even just personality wise as people, like you and I especially love that environment of like just really helping people max out what they can accomplish and trying to empower them to do that. So
no doubt.
We're pretty excited about that and, hopefully going to keep growing here. So
no, it's been awesome. Even just the last couple months, piecing all that together. And then where we're at now is doing a bunch of training and helping facilitate that for them all. I'm super excited about it and it's great to see. So that's Maven Real Estate.
Yep.
On the move,
excited,
baby.
On the move and some great people.
So, and what they'll learn about us, right, being clients of ours. I mean, most of them being clients, and even I'm sure Mari's seen this already.
Sure. Yep.
To a certain degree, they will grow to learn how each of us, in our own unique way, is a nerd.
Some of us more than others. Some of us more than others.
Which brings us to the segment of the day for the Maven Show. This is something, frankly, I ripped it off of one of my favorite podcasts that I would listen to when I was working with Arvest Bank.
Oh, yeah. Nice.
In the fraud department. This was a podcast I would listen to. It was SVP and Rosillo. So Scott Van Pelt and Ryan Rosillo on ESPN.
Nice.
They had a segment that they called Who's the Nerd? So the basic concept around this is each of us is going to ask a very, very probing question of another individual here at the table.
Careful with those probes.
Yeah, got to be careful. Ask cautiously. But these are questions that are pointed questions where we're going to ask them of each other in such a manner to prove who exactly is the biggest nerd among us. So who is anyone?
I think we all know.
Yeah, we all know.
Anyone?
Yeah.
Anyone who wants to volunteer to start this wonderful segment off again? Who's the nerd on the Maven Show?
I mean, I think Josh has the handicap here. So
no, what are you talking about?
Should we establish that early on? Should we establish a handicap?
All right, Jeremy. All right, Jeremy, you ready for this?
All right,
you ready for this? Okay.
I represent my people.
All right. Yeah, no, the more you talked today, the more questions that just kind of lined up.
Hey, that's fine. That's fine.
I feel like the best one to start with here is...
I'm scared.
What is your preferred weight of coffee to brew in your morning French press?
This coffee has a hint of elitist undertones.
It's got a mustachy overtone and then mustachy overnotes and then
and I only ask this because you're the only person at the table who's going to have a clear answer.
I think I do, if I remember correctly, I think I do. Is it?
This is important.
For 300 milliliters of water, I do. I actually have to ask Danielle to remind me every morning when I make my French press. I've got it written. I've got it written on the, we stick a thing on the cabinet that tells me.
But she enables you. She's an enabler.
Yeah. Well, there is actually, there's a very precise way to make French press that's not,
Do elaborate.
Well, you need to, it needs to stay in the water for so long. 4 minutes basically is the longest you want your beans in the water, which really frustrates me when you go to a place like Syrup or Neighborhood Jam. They literally just bring the water in your French press is sitting there drawing out acidity out of this coffee. You should pour it off. And you don't know
how long it's been.
Oh, no. And you can't get it all out. They bring it out, and that's why I never order the French press. Danielle does, but I don't. But yeah. But I honestly can't remember. It's written down at the house.
Okay. Okay. I feel like we got
Jeremy's turn. Jeremy, now.
I feel like I rest my case.
We got to the basic underlying theme.
The pretension that you have. How judgy you get.
Oh, it is it makes a difference. You're drawing out.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So, Jeremy, now you get to ask a question of myself or Josh. So
okay.
We'll kind of that's how we'll pass along questions here.
Okay. All right. So for Aaron, here's my first question for you, Aaron.
Of course.
Who is the NBA GOAT And why is it neither LeBron James or Michael Jordan? Or is it one of them?
It's definitely one of them.
Okay.
It's definitely one of them. It's MJ. It's MJ.
That surprises me that you go that direction.
No, it's MJ. See, here's what I do. How nerdy do I want to sound with this?
Don't hold back.
I will
Don't
only
hold back.
argue. Okay, here's the truth of the matter. I will only argue. I come across as if I think LeBron is the GOAT whenever somebody is such a hater that they're misrepresenting events that have actually transpired. You know, it's just you're ignoring all these facts over here, because I get why somebody would be obsessed with how great Michael Jordan was, but you don't have to be, so obsessed that you overlook.
You have to give the devil his due, right? You know, you
So when you basically
Sure.
So it's like people aren't giving LeBron James enough credit, and that's why you can come across as sounding like you think LeBron is.
I can sound like I'm propping him up as the best ever when it's just not, and it's just important, right? To establish that.
So why is Michael Jordan the best ever?
I think, so what was the documentary thing that just happened here recently?
The Last Dance.
So The Last Dance, right? Mm-hmm. So I think people watching that, you can listen to Jordan talk about like competitiveness and leadership and what it means for a team to win. And he doesn't sound like anybody else basically in the history of basketball. Like he describes it in this manner that's just like uniquely different regarding his competitive nature. And it's like honestly, the closest thing to anybody who sounded like that was Kobe. It wasn't even LeBron. Mm-hmm. So, right.
like the competitive spirit seems.
So really, for a lot of what you wrap up in the GOAT
mentality,
the GOAT aspect of that is his competitiveness, and you think that poured over onto the court.
His drive to win. Like nothing for him. Yes, there's a Jordan brand, and there's just like he's an owner of a basketball team, and he grew into these other things. But when he was a player, winning at all costs was it. Nothing else really mattered.
Yeah.
And that's not, even the case with like LeBron and what we see, he's even currently caught up in a bunch of different social issues that are just like, that necessarily wasn't even the case when Jordan was playing, and there's some weird dynamics with just the world that we live in regarding how communication occurs, where it's hard to avoid it sometimes as an athlete.
Yeah,
even.
but I feel like the important question here is what's the most defining stat line when you compare the two?
Most defining stat line
that like proves most clearly to you that MJ was better than LeBron.
It's his championships. That's the biggest thing.
Okay.
And it wasn't that he went undefeated in finals.
It wasn't
that.
It's just the number. It was just so many.
He's won so many championships in an era that honestly had like, teams that he would beat. It was like people probably don't realize the props that they should give to teams he beat. It's like he beat a team with Charles Barkley, right? Mm-hmm. Beat the Jazz multiple times. Mm-hmm. With Karl Malone and John Stockton.
Oh, yeah.
It was like, have I said enough about this at this point?
No. Well, I'm just curious. Well, I'm just curious.
You didn't answer my question with a number.
Well, I just want to know. I want to know.
With a number of what?
Nope, no, you're good.
With a number. This is talk about points per game or something.
This is just more. I'm just curious. This isn't necessarily like. Is there some? If you were going to put a third person in the conversation for GOAT, who would it be?
It might be Kareem. Might be Kareem.
Okay. I was just curious.
Yeah, he's got weird numbers on just like, you can even look at like his whole, from high school through college into the NBA. He's got weird stats that are like the number of games lost being so minimal.
Oh, really?
It's hard to even compare to another human. It's so weird.
Yeah. Like how little he loses.
I think statistically, he's scored, I don't know where he's at in the ranks, but he's up there for most points scored in the history of the game. It's just, it's just like when Magic won his first championship, he may not have actually been the best player on the team. People don't think about that. It's just he won his first title and Kareem was on there. At the time, he was probably the best player.
Yeah.
So,
All right, it's your turn, Aaron.
LeBron never. Here's what I'd say: LeBron never had. Who was his Kareem Abdul-Jabbar? Kyrie Irving.
Well, early on, you didn't even have that.
Gross. You're
In
right.
his
We need to go back to the 07 Cavs.
Dwayne
who
Wade.
got swept by the Spurs. Who was their second best player? Larry Hughes. Sorry.
Who's that?
That's basically like LeBron passing the ball to you or me and being like, all right, I'm counting on you. Okay, probably not that bad. But here we go. All right, Josh.
Yep.
During the holiday season, where families all around, you're creating these wonderful memories together.
Oh, yeah.
Have you ever gotten in an argument with someone over the Marvel Cinematic Universe?
No. I'm almost certain the answer is no.
You've never argued with one of your family members over anything related to the Marvel Cinematic Universe?
I'm thinking here. I'm digging and thinking, and I can't think of a single argument I've had with my family about MCU.
Okay.
So
I don't know to think about
I'm
that.
trying to be honest here. Yeah.
Okay.
If we get
I feel like I dodged a
hey,
bullet there.
Yeah,
Okay.
Malone's out there. Malone's out there. If this isn't truthful, we want to know.
Yeah, no. Feel free to comment how deceptive I'm being in the comments below.
I bet you and Sarah just hashing it out
Nothing.
over.
The Black Panther, nothing.
No, I
Nothing's come up from-
really, I don't even think I've ever really.
Not even like whether it's
discussed much of that
acceptable
with
to
them.
like Thor, considering he's like a Norse god and how pagan that is. Not even that. Come on.
As funny as that, yeah. We just kind of try to keep that stuff secret from my parents, and I'm just kidding.
What's this Marvel?
Saucer.
All right, Josh, you're up.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Well. Yeah. No, I think I'm being honest there. So.
Sure.
All right.
We're gonna have to come after him a little harder.
I'm not the most nerdy person in this round. That's for sure. All right, Aaron. Let's just start off with a bit of a softball here. Fill in the blank, if you would. Okay. I never thought I'd say this, but I think I ate too much blank. And what was the context of Dwight saying this on The Office?
I think I ate too much.
I never thought I'd say this, but I think I ate too much.
Actually, I don't recall. I don't recall.
Gosh.
I would think it has to do with beets, but
That's where I would go too.
Bone marrow.
that's really good. That's really good.
You know who's like a? Do y'all know who's a
That's really
freak
good.
Office fan? Do you know who's a freak Office
Hold
fan?
on. So what was the context of Dwight saying this in The
I
Office?
have no idea.
Oh, see, I chose it at random because I'm like,
Yeah,
I
see,
don't
no,
know
I
this
don't.
thing. So, man,
That's got to be pretty funny though.
What's the answer?
I don't know. I genuinely
Oh,
know.
okay.
I could pull up the episode. But anyway, what were you gonna say?
There's a crazy. So I know Aaron thinks this person's a freak, and
thought
she
you had
actually
gotten
is.
that.
She is really freaky. But Billie Eilish is like a huge Office fan.
Oh, yeah.
And like the Dwight, what's his name, Rainn Wilson does an interview with her.
Yep.
And he goes through and asks a bunch of questions, and she gets all of them right.
Yes.
And there's some obscure Office trivia on there. Apparently, she's watched it several
It's like
times.
specific lines. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's
No,
fun.
and that's the thing. Like, basically, anytime I'm watching a season, I'll start like mentioning a joke that was made, and you immediately know the rest of the context, the whole story, like all the clips that we include and stuff. It's like all because you're thinking like, oh yeah, that moment, like full quarantine or whatever.
Yes, right. Now, to be fair, at least for my nerdery on The Office, I'm not as familiar with what were the most recent seasons.
Sure.
So if it did come from one of the most recent seasons, I've watched it, obviously, but I'm not.
So like
you know.
post
don't know
Michael
quite as
Scott.
Yeah, post Michael, there was just, there was.
No, I was trying to get one that was far enough out that most people wouldn't catch it, but then.
Okay.
All right, Jeremy.
No, I'm asking Josh a question.
Gosh. What?
Yeah.
You just asked me a
Hey
question.
man, you came out too squeaky clean.
Yeah, no, that was I was genuinely surprised by that. Josh, if you had to choose between, again, who's the nerd?
Right.
Josh, if you had to choose between attending any concert at any venue that you could choose from
Okay.
for any person, right? So
Okay.
attending any concert, any venue, any person you want to watch, or staying at home and playing a board game, what would you choose more?
Well,
Like you're pretty big out there.
man.
You'd be surprised,
And the board game is Pandemic. No.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to depend on the board game.
It's gonna depend on the board. That's the answer. That's the answer we're looking for right there.
Yeah.
Folks.
Case sealed.
No, there's some great concerts out there. Man, that's
talking
a
like
really
Dead or
tempting
Alive?
choice for me there, right on that.
It
But,
is. It is tempting for you, isn't it?
It's tempting both ways.
All right, Josh, your turn.
It hurts enough. It hurts enough to
Sorry.
prove your point. Yeah, it hurts enough to prove your point.
That's weird.
That's weird.
I mean, if I just had to choose, yeah. I mean, because basically, what was it, like 2 years ago that my wife looked at me and was like, okay, so for your birthday, if you wanted to do like one thing with friends, what would it be? And I was like, I had to think about it because I was just so used to just being so busy that I don't have time to think about it. I want to have a bunch of people over and play a board game.
Yeah.
So that's exactly what we did. And I was like, this is who I am, and that's okay. I'm okay with that. Right?
You be you.
But it would be for sure. I'm all in if it was the Cones of Dunshire. That's so. All right, Jeremy.
All right, let's hear it.
Okay, so for this one, let's see. It just kind of depends on how far down this list we're gonna get, like which one I want to pick for the next one.
Right.
But, which of the following do you prefer and why? A Lincoln Douglas style debate or a policy debate?
Definitely a policy debate.
Okay.
Definitely.
Why is that?
I really don't like the whole, like the Lincoln Douglas is just so impractical. It's like all philosophy, and like I don't like the whole, because basically you're arguing for you've got a criteria and a value and a criteria that you're arguing for, and that's just I don't know. That's not my. I would rather talk about politics or an actual, like, we're debating, is this policy good? Not like utilitarianism. Is utilitarianism really the best way to determine things? Lincoln, so I'm thinking of like competitive debate. Like Lincoln Douglas debate is about it's a philosophy debate. Policy is like actually a policy, like a real world. We're proposing a solution to a problem. Is it the best solution to that problem? That's way funner.
Quick follow up here.
Fun.
Which section of the policy debate do you think is the best one for making your strong point?
Clearly cross-examination.
Okay.
Clearly.
I mean, I'm obviously having to gang up a little bit on Jeremy here because,
You're way ahead in this right now, so I'm getting smashed.
Okay.
All right, so this question's going to be for Josh.
Oh gosh.
There he goes.
All right.
There he goes.
Okay.
now he's coming back at
Gloves
me.
are coming off.
Yeah.
All right. What does ATP stand for? And is it in your top 5 favorite metabolic processes?
It's not a metabolic process.
Well, okay, all right. Is it involved?
Great answer.
Is it
Great answer.
all right?
You're talking about adenosine triphosphate here, right?
Is it involved in your favorite metabolic process? One of your top 5 favorite metabolic processes?
Okay. I mean,
So what is it? What does it stand
Sure.
for?
Sure. Yeah. Adenosine triphosphate. It's your fundamental
My point exactly.
energy source in your body. Everything, all your carbs and all your fats get converted into ATP, and then
Is that through Krebs?
Krebs is a part of the process. Yeah, like it's related. Yeah, the citric acid cycle would be the other more common name there. Hey, in my defense, my degree was in this subject, so no.
Yeah, you picked that degree.
Well, yeah, that's right. Because I didn't want.
What was your minor? What was your minor?
Which one?
Which?
Yeah.
Give them both.
No, so actually, the process it's a part of is actually really cool. It's in the energy part of your cell, like the mitochondria, and it's like a hydrogen pump that forces this machinery called ATP synthase to rotate, and that's what actually attaches the third phosphate onto from ADP to ATP. So it's really cool, like the physics of what's going on and the fact that that's inside your body. Like it's like this machinery. That's
I wonder if anybody's ever done any like gene knockout stuff on that particular.
I don't know that in particular. Like
that'd be interesting.
I feel like you were setting me up on that, but
I'm actually just curious.
So.
I don't know. Like the flagellum.
Do I need to just? You all need to have a segment in the ATP thing. I can just step away from it.
Hoff's like, I'm just gonna drink my 22-ounce water,
whatever that is.
Yeah.
Anyways.
No, it's freaking baller. Like the reason I got my biochemistry degree was because you watch a few of those videos of what's happening down in the cell, and you're like, what the heck? Like there's machinery down here. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna look closer at this. So that's what happened.
All right, Josh, it's your turn to ask a question.
Is it my turn?
Yep.
Okay. Well,
I heard you just then. Just let's not let it escape.
No, we're done here.
What just happened here with us? The cool and baller being referenced in response to that question.
Yeah.
Yes.
To ATP.
It's freaking awesome. All right,
You should
Aaron,
make a rap about it.
Aaron.
What? What now?
I'm going to let you just kind of pick any one here, okay? But
Yikes.
please describe
Yikes.
any home that has sold at least 3 times in the last 5 years. And please list the sold price for each of those sales.
Okay. Realistically, this is 3 times in the last 5 years is very hard. That's virtually impossible.
Okay.
Just so you know.
I could have sworn you've seen a couple, but
I know there's a couple that I've seen that have sold twice in the last 5 years.
Okay.
But 3 times that's
okay. So pick one of those ones with the twice, and what are the sold prices?
No, I can't possibly.
Describe them first. No. So what's the square footage? What location?
Listen, I look at the market.
You're
a
not
lot,
trying right now.
but this is
Like you're trying not to answer the question.
This is one of those that what you're asking
Don't be humble.
is actually harder, even for somebody who obsesses over what gets sold, like myself.
Every time it's like you see one pop up, you're like, oh, I know that one already sold. You know, like literally 2 years ago, that thing sold.
Yeah, and you know who sold it.
And that's there. Yeah, that's true. I can see it, but it's more like when I see it, I'll know. Like I'll be able to recognize it. But I can't necessarily like tell you the address or what it's sold for and that sort of thing.
See, I feel like
it
there's some
starts
sort
to
of
be this. When I see it, I'm like, yeah, I recall seeing that before 2 years ago, and that's.
No, you remember this freaking square footage most of the time. Like, well, okay, look, if a house has been on the market within the most recent 3 months, you'll remember the square footage.
It's a little bit different when it's something that I've seen that's like it's come on the market in the last 6 months or something like that, and I'm like, yeah, and this is what it was listed for, and you know that sort of thing. But yeah, specifically for knowing what's sold multiple times in the last 5 years, I can recall it once I see it listed.
It's not even as simple as that. It's not even as simple as that because we'll name a property, right, about like something that a client's interested in, and then he will like he'll be like, oh, is that the one that's this many square feet and has 3/4 of an acre?
But then, are you talking about the one that's in Little Mac schools?
Yeah,
I mean that's
and then he'll be like, yeah, that one actually like it's a little overpriced, but it sold last year, and you're like, wait, what is going on? Like, so
no, that's
I
true.
feel like you're
That's
kind
true.
of not, you're selling yourself a little short here on.
Going a little skinny.
It's hard to recall. It's hard to recall.
Maybe it's hard to recall on the spot.
It's hard to recall
But when
on the
we're
spot.
describing a specific house, he's like, oh, I suddenly know every last detail there is to know about that house already. And
There's
you're like,
something. Yeah, there's something to that. That's the case.
Yeah. All right.
I kind of just want to
But
pick
at least in terms of usability at this point for our careers.
Oh, yeah.
It's very
highly
very
applicable.
useful.
So was ATP synthase. Anyway. All right, Aaron. I think it passes to you here.
Well, that was a good job on your part to try to force that in.
I really tried to.
ATP synthase again.
Take note, everyone.
All right, so I'm gonna ask Jeremy real quick. I'm gonna ask Jeremy something.
Okay.
Jeremy, is there really much of a difference between Luke Skywalker, Harry Potter, and Frodo Baggins? I mean, really, is there much of a difference between those characters?
Between Luke Skywalker. There's a big, there is a big difference.
Is there really?
Well, I mean, so I would, in terms of, so like the first category that comes to mind. So you got so like Frodo's over here by himself, all not angsty, and then you've got Luke and Harry are angsty teenagers. Frodo's like he's 33 years old, going, he doesn't even have a love interest, but like Luke and Harry, both of them, and now Luke and Harry have a lot in common.
Do they?
They do.
Yeah.
Because, and the reason is, so both Luke and Harry have this pull, this good evil pull. Frodo's like, he's kind of like pure. He's never really tempted by the ring. Because he's a hobbit. Hobbit's like the perfect person to carry the ring, to carry sin and temptation or whatever to Mordor. Harry and Luke, like Harry's constantly thinking, am I Voldemort? Like Voldemort's a part of me. He's fused into my soul. Luke's like, Darth Vader's my dad. The dark side. Oh no, am I dark? Am I light? Am I gray? Whatever. Gray. He doesn't ever think about gray. But, it's
he gets an emo phase. He does. And Frodo's kind of in a league of his own over here. Yeah. I'm not trying to defend. In this game,
You're just speaking the truth here. You're just speaking the truth.
I'm trying to play fair here, guys.
Yeah, that's right.
You're speaking the truth here. Yes.
So there you go.
All right. And Jeremy, another question you can ask of myself or Josh.
I want to go after Josh, but I got to ask you. I got another question here.
Okay.
What makes Bill Belichick so much better than other coaches, and why is he your spirit animal?
This is mumbling. We're on to Cincinnati.
Just do your job.
No days off. No days off. Is that a sufficient answer?
I mean,
listen, the guy is he's different. I mean, even down to his blurring the lines on what is cheating and what is not and what a team can get away with. Right? He's always trying to create that competitive advantage. He's always trying to he's always wearing cutoffs, even if it's a cutoff hoodie.
I think you should talk about snow on the ground.
He's just snow on the ground.
Yeah.
Oh,
I thought so. You remember, like he would like. There's a phrase like if a quarterback isn't throwing a certain pass that day, like he would tell his defenders like there's snow on the ground, and it was like a code word for they're not going to throw that. They're not throwing outs.
No, that's
so you don't even have to cover that.
So you don't even have to cover it. No, that's right. He's so thorough in his preparation each week. It's just I just utmost respect for the guy. Even if he kind of blurs the lines a little bit when it comes to competitive advantage.
Well, one of the things that always sticks out to me, and I remember in just like watching people talk about football and stuff, is like you were telling me one time about the game against the Seahawks, the Super Bowl against the Seahawks in that play where they pick off.
It was in preparation for that interception, and they basically they prepped in such a way where you just had you had the timing where, the slot receiver had to be jammed, and then whoever was covering the outside receiver, he had to jump the route, and you had to prep for it, right? You basically had to practice it, and he never got it right in practice. But Bill, basically, when they got to that position, right, Seattle gets down on the goal line, he basically knew that they knew that they were going to run that pass play. And then,
which is crazy.
Butler, he got it right, picked it off, changed fate for everyone. So, Bill's just, probably the best coach who's ever done it. Football. So.
Is there anyone you think is better?
For football? No.
Is Saban in a similar league?
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, I would think so.
Just different league?
Yeah, I mean, I think that he's probably, it's college, but he's so successful at that he's got to be in the discussion. So. Yep.
All right.
Josh.
Aaron, I think you're...
Josh, I've got a question for you now.
No!
I've got a question for you now.
All right.
Bacterial flagellum, your thoughts?
It's not it's on the list. It's just not the top of the list.
It's not your favorite. That's not your favorite.
Your thoughts?
Yeah. Irreducible complexity. It's the first phrase that comes to mind.
Okay.
Knock out.
So you're not a scientist, huh?
Yeah, I'm very anti-science. I have these anti-science beliefs about complex specified information and, how there's certain systems that you have to have all the pieces of or else they don't work. And that's kind of weird in biology, right?
Right.
Doesn't work especially well with a blind natural selection sort of, rubric or paradigm.
Yeah. These are all great words.
But what if you have enough time?
Yeah, because space and time has always fixed everything.
Yeah.
It's interesting to bring up space. Go ahead.
All right.
Josh, you can ask myself or Jeremy.
All right, Aaron. What are your top 5 favorite musicals? In order from least favorite.
That's a good blow right there. Man.
To most life-changing.
Man, that was next whole. That
was a good move on your part.
Nova.
Been saving it.
Level.
It's a very good move on your part. Okay, so
check
here's
and
the truth.
mate.
Here's the truth. So My Fair Lady is probably the top.
Wow.
Okay.
That's the truth of the matter. My Fair Lady is probably the top.
And why?
Oh, it's just the clever. It's so clever and funny in the way like people, characters make fun of each other or themselves in the way that they do it, and they do it in song.
Gotcha. So the ridicule aspect of it specifically?
Yeah, the ridicule aspect of the thing. It's just genius.
Okay.
And so everybody it's just incredible performance. So I would say that one's probably the top. Music Man is great. Music Man is great. Yeah, I mean, do you count like Beauty and the Beast, like the new one?
I was going to ask, do you count The Greatest Showman as a musical?
Definitely count The Greatest Showman.
Definitely count The Greatest Showman.
Yeah, it's
no
up
question
there.
On that one.
It's up there. Greatest Showman's definitely up there. But that's at least, if you want 3 or 4, there's at least 3 or 4.
Where does 7 Brides for 7 Brothers fall for you?
Is it top 10?
That might be up there around 3 or 4.
Okay.
So there's a top 5 if you want to round it out.
No, that's
Is Les Mis? What about Les Mis?
Oh, man. Yeah. This is getting tough, isn't it?
I'm just curious.
It's tough because who's the odd one out?
I'm actually surprised how quickly you answered the question.
Well, listen, My Fair Lady, it's just one of those. It was one my wife and I would watch it all the time because I've seen it a lot. But it's a lot. Plenty.
No, like
dozens.
Over under 30.
Probably more.
Okay.
Probably more.
Is My Fair Lady, is that the one where they take the Cockney lady and teach her? Okay.
Yep.
I need to watch it. I've never seen it. So.
Yeah. No. Fantastic. Genius.
What about, I'm surprised that Cats isn't up there, or Rent.
No, I'm not really big on it.
Either Cats or Rent.
Why don't you like Cats?
So
I won't make you ask why you don't like Rent.
But no, I mean does that give you a top 5, I suppose, to answer that question?
Yeah, no, I think we got there.
So
I think we got there. I think 30 plus viewings of My Fair Lady definitely helped.
So when it comes to Josh, when it comes to the naming rights for a star,
okay,
have you purchased the naming rights for a star
No.
for your spouse or not?
No.
And if not,
No.
what's keeping you from it?
No, I've definitely thought about those, night sky type, like the night sky, the night you proposed, or like, something like that. Like I've thought about getting some of that art. But no, I've never really approached the naming rights side of the industry.
You just don't think it's legitimate? Do you have an opinion on the matter?
No, not really. I'd never really,
Are you ever a little nervous that you'd buy a star that, like, it's so far away, the starlight's so distant that it's already burned out, and you buy it, and
it's
then
like you buy it, it's not even there.
Yeah, it's not even there. Talk about it's like that's worse than buying a property with that requires flood insurance. I bought a star that went Stella Nova.
It's like I may as well have given my wife a dead bird for her birthday.
Somebody's done that. Somebody has bought a star that burned out.
That's awesome. But no, I it's strange that I haven't. So,
do you feel like it's kind of what is that called? Like whenever you show partiality to humanity, like it's like that we would have the right. Yeah, we're colonizing stars, buying the rights to stars.
Linguistic imperialism, I think, is the phrase you're looking for.
And that's another point right there.
Hey, you're the one who brought up binomial nomenclature last week. Okay,
hey, different day.
That's
different
linguistic
day.
imperialism all day.
All right, so we probably need to get through the rest of these rapid fire. Josh, you can go ahead.
All right. Hey, Jeremy, which of the 4 lands in the Sword of Shannara trilogy would you be most likely to call home, and why?
I honestly don't remember the lands. I'd have to take a refresher on that.
Okay.
So, yeah, I don't.
Okay.
Didn't get super nerdy with that.
Okay, so
if there was an elk, if you can tell me.
Or let's just, which race would you most identify with?
I love the druids.
Excuse me?
So the cool thing about Shannara is that, so like in Lord of the Rings, you don't really know a lot about the wizards. I haven't read like the Son, like Tolkien didn't write too much about the wizards, at least in the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit.
That was always a downer for me.
But his son wrote like a whole history of Middle Earth, and there's a lot more in there. And that's basically whenever you like the White Orc and all that crap that's in the Hobbit movies, all that stuff is pulled out of the son's books. It's not out of the Hobbit. It's not out of Lord of the Rings. It's out of the history of Middle Earth. And it's bogus. They should have left it all out.
Gotcha.
So, but the druids in Shannara, the druids are like, there's a lot more about them, and there's a lot more history, and so yeah.
There's more meat on the bones there.
Yeah,
on that.
Yeah. With the
All
druids.
right, so Jeremy, another one. What is the most glaring?
Wait! I get to ask a question now. No, rapid fire. Now it's my turn. It's my turn to ask a question, Josh. How old do you think the Earth is?
Less than 100,000 years, probably.
Probably. And why 100,000?
Oh my goodness.
Oh, because it's the answer that nobody likes. That's why.
Do you use a gap theory to justify that? Or
Potentially, yeah.
Potentially gap theory?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Boy, I'm left speechless. I'm left speechless.
Jeremy, what is the most glaring part of the Lord of the Rings book series that is missing in the original film trilogy?
Well, okay. So, how about this? So there's a missing thing, and then there's something they just completely screw
Okay.
up. Okay. So there's the thing that's missing. I think that the thing I missed the most was that they didn't include Tom Bombadil. Tom Bombadil, he's a cool character. I understand why they didn't use him because he's really hard to explain. He would be a hard character to explain why you don't just give the ring to him in the first place, because it's addressed in the book, but it'd be really hard to address in a movie. So Tom Bombadil missing. The part that they like screw up is like they completely get the Battle of Minas Tirith and the Battle of Helm's Deep mixed up. So like they have these elves show up from Mirkwood at the Battle of Helm's Deep, and those elves did not show up at the Battle of Helm's Deep. They showed up at the Battle of Minas Tirith. So that's always frustrating. Like why do we have to have these elves show up? They didn't show up in the book. They made it fine in Helm's Deep without them in the book. So yeah.
Well done, sir.
Thank you.
Well done.
Yeah.
Jeremy,
Okay.
got any care to throw out here?
Yes, Aaron. My question for you: you get challenged to a game of 2-on-2, and you have to choose between two different. You have two people to choose from as a partner.
Yep.
You take Kevin Durant or Steph Curry. Which would you learn to work with, and what kind of jokes would you make about them to their face as you play?
I would play 2-on-1. And I would just try my hardest. But I would not betray my own honor by participating
with either.
Yes, either would be just an incredible betrayal. So,
even with Kevin Durant having a torn Achilles, you wouldn't take Steph Curry.
Well, when you ask the question, as soon as you ask the question, I'm just like, as soon as you got Kevin Durant out of your mouth, I'm like, I'm picking the other person.
And then you said Steph Curry.
Then you did that, and I'm like, I'd rather just opening tap. I'd rather just punt the ball into the stands. See what happens.
My gosh.
How could you possibly align yourself with either of those people?
I don't think you can with honor.
No, exactly. It's exactly right.
They're terrible. They're
For
really
both of you. Question for both of you.
For both of us.
Yep.
Ooh.
Can you do that?
What are your thoughts regarding the future and humans living on other planets? Are we pausing to gather all the thoughts that you have associated with this particular subject?
I'll let him go first.
Because we've talked about this before.
I could see it happening. I don't ever see humans living on a terraformed planet. I don't ever see that happening. It would be like some sort of artificial living facility somewhere. I could see that.
Terraformed? What's a terraformed?
Like people thinking we're going to make Mars like Earth someday or something like that.
Gotcha.
Create a atmosphere, and I don't think that's ever going to happen. I just can't. I don't believe that man can really contribute to climate here, and to believe that we could go to another planet and create a climate is just mind-boggling.
So you're a climate doubter. Anyway.
Climate doubter.
Yeah.
I don't know what just happened. Josh?
So I think it's a likely excursion, but I don't think it's going to be terribly permanent. That makes sense. Like, I think you're going to get people who get so determined that they're going to spend, trillions of dollars on, basically having a camping site in Mars. Maybe a good vacation home, but not actually like a sustainable long-term civilization.
Gotcha. Figured I'd ask.
What do you think about? I guess we both get a question now, so we both get to ask Aaron a question.
Aaron,
Not necessarily.
which
It's not necessarily
which
the
is
case.
your preferred sports card grading system and why? PSA or Beckett?
Well, jeez. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but it is the professional sports authenticating system. So you have Beckett, that's like a magazine subscription,
Okay.
right? That gave value to particular cards.
Uh,
But then there was this professional sports authenticating. That's a PSA thing.
right.
That is like you would basically send your card in and to have them professionally authenticate it.
Yep.
And the quality of it. So that's where you would actually get like, okay, well, this kind of card might be more valuable because of its condition versus the same kind of card, and PSA would do that. It'd be PSA rated,
Okay.
Like Gem
Gotcha.
Mint 9, 10,
Okay.
that sort of thing.
Yep.
No bent corners. A nice sheen, quality.
Gotta have the sheen.
Gotta have a nice sheen on
That's
it.
So what, little follow-up question here. What is the most valuable card you've ever seen in person,
Whew.
as far as you're aware?
Oh, as far as I'm aware,
Was it a Hoff Mew or a Charizard?
oh my gosh.
Taking a hold, Jeremy.
Which of those was a refractor?
A hologram.
Is that the same thing as the holofoil or whatever?
Hoffle's like a shiny background.
Okay, because the refractor thing was when it was almost kind of like a shiny, but it was like rainbow sort of imagery.
So in Pokemon, it was they called them holofoils. I don't know. In baseball, I don't know what.
Maybe
they call
maybe it's the same similar terminology.
I don't
here.
know. My parents didn't let me collect that witchcraft.
They would much rather let you pretend to be an astronaut in your closet and sniff your hands.
Hey, space camp.
So, I think probably highest value, it's either going to be something that was like a super old card, like some old baseball card or whatever, or it was, Jordan rookie. I can't remember the value of it, but I've seen a Jordan rookie in
Nice.
person. Yeah.
Nice. All right, Jeremy. What do you believe are Star Wars The Force Awakens' biggest narrative weaknesses?
Gosh.
I mean, my Star Wars game's pretty weak.
Is it?
That was like, I'm even trying to think which one. The Force Awakens is the first one with Rey, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the most, it's just frustrating that it's just like Death Star, bigger Death Star. Death Planet's not even in that, is it? It's not even in, I really don't know. I can't answer.
Okay, that's all right.
I don't know
That's
enough
all right.
about Star Wars.
Okay.
That's all right.
So then which Harry Potter
We'll
Hogwarts house are you and why?
Circle back around to Hobbit and such.
I mean, I really wanted to be a Gryffindor, but somehow I got sorted Slytherin, so I'm a Slytherin.
You wanted to be?
Yeah, you wanted to be a
Did
Gryffindor.
I miss something? You want?
I wanted to be a Gryffindor. Who doesn't want to be a Gryffindor? But yeah, I got sorted as a Slytherin. So, but thank God I wasn't a Hufflepuff. Gah.
Do you have a favorite character in the Silmarillion?
I've only read the first couple chapters of Silmarillion, so I've never not enough to know.
Okay.
I think this honestly, unless we have a few more that we have to ask.
In
this
your
is
opinion,
probably-
what was the most important battle of World War I?
Oh my!
And why?
You just keep going.
World War I didn't seem. I mean, it's like they all just kind of ran together. It didn't. They just got tired of killing each other in trenches. It seemed like to me. I mean, I don't know. Verdun's the one that stands out the most, but I don't know if it's the most important.
Why does it stand out?
A lot of people got killed there. A lot of people. Like it was, yeah. a lot of people.
Josh, have you ever read a Goosebumps book?
No. Oh, yes. Oh my gosh. Like he's offended at the idea.
Just the complete absence. I never read. Listen, okay. I don't like.
You don't know what you're missing out on.
I never read anything growing up, basically until college, right? But I read Goosebumps.
Oh, Goosebumps are great.
So, Josh somehow, because he's living somewhere else, has never read a Goosebumps book. And I would say R.L. Stein, and it'd be like, excuse you? And Jeremy...
I'm disgusted.
Jeremy couldn't be more disgusted.
What kind of fiction did you read?
It's like Christian fiction, you know, just like.
I mean, like the love stories, the one with like a picture of an Amish woman on the front of it,
Wow,
or
no, like the Ladd Family Adventures.
Odyssey. Was it Odyssey?
That was really young. That
was Odyssey
Adventures in Odyssey.
Oh, is that like a real thing? I thought you were talking about like the Odyssey.
Nope.
Man,
that's a real thing.
Never heard of either one of those things.
Definitely went through a big Left Behind phase. I mean, who didn't, right?
Nope. Nope.
Not me.
That's on you.
I did watch the Kirk Cameron movie. I watched the Kirk Cameron movie with my uncle. So yeah.
There you go. Let's see. There was one other. Frank Peretti had some kids books.
Wow.
Oh no, I never read. I read Ted Dekker, but no Frank Peretti.
Yeah.
Frank Peretti's like, isn't he like really scary? Like he does a lot of demonic stuff.
There was kids kind of stuff. Yeah, I mean it was that direction, but yeah.
Like werewolves.
I didn't think like real. I've never read.
I
just
heard
heard.
Frank Peretti wrote.
I don't know.
What were you going to ask, Jeremy?
I want to know who is your favorite founding father, Aaron? Or do you care? I just want to know.
I don't know that I have a favorite. I don't know that I have a favorite.
Who's your least favorite?
Say Hamilton.
I do think that this is a great place for us to be. This is kind of a, we reveal more about ourselves and how nerdy we all are to a certain degree.
Okay.
To take time to explain collectively the origins of Maven itself.
Yes.
And where it comes from. Why Maven?
Oh, what a great story.
Maven Real Estate. Why that name? What are the origins of Maven? The Maven Ravens.
Are you? Are we talking about this collectively? Or are you asking me a question to try to prove something here?
I think collectively we kind of. You're the one who's most familiar with it, and I think. Yeah, I've heard you describe it, and you do a great job explaining it. So I'm leaning on you to basically come through with the explanation.
Yeah. So Maven, it was actually Malcolm Gladwell wrote a book called, what is it?
Tipping Point?
Tipping Point, yeah. And he talks about different categories of influencers and people in the book. And one of the categories is the Mavens. So the people who are kind of the gurus, the knowledge sources, the people that everybody goes to for those esoteric answers. And basically heard that name Maven, or the word Maven, and kind of was looking it up. It comes from a Hebrew word.
Is it Hebrew or is it Yiddish? Or I couldn't.
I think it's Hebrew, but basically, it really came into English in like the 50s. I want to say it was through a lot of marketing campaigns that were going on. And the word actually means one who understands. Right? So it's funny. There's like some fish. What was it? Like the marketing was like some kind of
goldfish.
It was like some kind
Crackers.
of like sardines can, kind of like it was like and it was the Maven or something. I don't know. It was like this really smart fish. Basically, that's like how one of the ways it came into the English.
That's like different.
Yeah. So it means one who understands, and as far as priorities of when we got into the business, like what's really important that's going to set us apart as an agency and as a business, like what qualities or characteristics are really important. And it's like, okay, well, you need to actually have answers for people. Yep. And you need to actually be listening to people. I had enough exposure to the industry and stuff to know that was like just so important for people.
And one way that in the book Tipping Point that Malcolm Gladwell uses the word, and like the way he described it, is that you would have different people in your life. Like everybody has mavens in their life. They just don't know it. They probably wouldn't call them but when you have a car problem, you have your car maven. You have your buddy you call that knows about cars, can connect you with the car guy, or connect you with the right person. So you're going to have your car maven. You're going to have your health maven. You're going to have these people that they understand the topic thoroughly, and they're going to be able to direct you to do the right thing. They're like a connector and they're connector, and like they
almost like a knowledge connector.
Yeah.
To where it's not just that they're telling you what to do. It's they're explaining why you need to be thinking the way you're thinking.
Right. And they're going to know way more about that thing than you would ever personally feel like you need to know, but they know that and can help you. That's no, I mean, it's funny because we basically have extended that outward to like, we've got like our list of who we would consider. We haven't ever published this list, but of who we would consider the electrical maven or whatever, like the lender maven,
the lending maven. Yeah. It's like this team of mavens who we're trying to find the people who really align with those values.
Yeah. And when we find them, we hold on to them.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Like, don't ever leave.
That's right.
Yeah. So,
and connected with that, the Maven Ravens.
Yeah. So, well, no,
I don't. How did we get to the Odin stuff?
Well, I think I was thinking about.
I can't remember.
I was thinking about kind of like different mascots or different types of like symbols or different,
Was the jump was like the
No,
was that, or did I do the off?
No,
did I do that because of that?
We're gonna show that clip here real quick.
On this week's Maven Monday, we talk about what a maven really is.
So that's
like just coming down the hallway.
Back at the old.
It was like should have called Maven.
Should have called Maven. Oh man, that needs to make this episode.
Oh, this is great.
Welcome to Red Wine and Title Company. How can I help you, sir?
Well, I'm here for a closing.
You're here for a closing. Great. What's the name of the file?
Rinbarger.
Rinbarger. Okay. Let's see if I can find that. File Rinbarger is a really good name. It's spelled German.
Starts with an R.
Starts with an R. Excellent. Alright. So here, looks like, you're sure that closing was for today?
It better be for today. I got a moving truck with me.
Well, that's not good. Looking at the file, it looks like the appraisal hasn't actually been delivered yet. And the reason they were waiting for the termite inspection to come back.
Hang on. So you're telling me the closing is not for today?
That's what the file says. Yes, sir. Didn't your realtor tell you? Like there should.
You're an idiot, and my realtor's awful.
Should have called a Maven.
Great. It was great. No, but so basically the obviously the name. So okay. You got those two pillars of like one who understanding like a big knowledge thing and understanding like communication. So that it became like two clear pillars of like what we were trying to put
knowledge and communication.
Right. It became the motto for a while, whatever. And so, but then you have the name Maven, right? Which just when you're thinking of a mascot, obviously sounds like Raven. And so it's like, okay, well, I wonder if there's a way we can, smash these together so that, we can have someone in a Raven costume out in front of an open house or something.
Yeah, still going to happen someday.
Oh man, it's going to be great. I can't wait.
I'm going to stick Dietrich out there. Dietrich in a Maven, in a Raven.
But so you come across these different references in literature, right? So like one of them, of course, is the Edgar Allan Poe, whatever, we've already made reference to that in the Quoth the Raven, second.
Quoth the
Raven. That wasn't really, whatever compelling. But what you find is in obviously, hey, we're all nerds here, right?
digging through like
I
literature
didn't
references, it's like you come across Odin. Odin, the in Norse mythology,
North god.
had these two ravens that would sit on his shoulder.
What are their names?
Hugin and Munin, I think, which means like thought and memory. I'm looking at you because you know what I'm talking about.
I'm not going to remember the details like you are with that.
Which reference they mean thought and memory in the language. And so basically what they would do, they would sit on, they would go out in the morning and go search the earth for all the knowledge that there was to be had out there. And then they would return back every evening and sit on his shoulder and tell him, report to him about what has happened.
What was occurring in Midgard?
In Midgard, that's right. The Middle Earth, basically.
This is the world in the way that it is.
Yeah.
They would report back to him.
Oh, yes. And so they were actually the source of Odin's omniscience. So the reason that he was omniscient and knew everything was because they would go out and report to him every day. And so whenever you're, talking about what we do as real estate agents and the level of research, the level of market knowledge, the level of whatever, like the idea that we would are going out and seeking out all the information and then coming back and reporting to our clients. And that's exactly very like what having a high level of knowledge has meant for us. And that we've been seeking with that. Yep. And so, but then it ended up just kind of working out well. So when we went to actually make the logo, right, and we were starting the independent brokerage, it was like digging around trying to get different ideas about stuff, and we saw one that had like the big kind of double M looking thing. But we were also trying to find raven kind of things,
right?
Or whatever.
Something that the imagery of a bird or a raven.
Yeah, it's like, can you work that into a logo?
Yeah,
just yeah. And so we ended up kind of making that.
It was difficult not to make it just look like it was a decoration for Halloween.
Yeah,
that was
right.
part of the problem. Was
just a bird.
Yeah. How do we not make this it's the spooky real estate?
Oh yeah, there's an ominous bird on that sign in front of that house, so we should buy it.
How cute! It's a rat with wings.
That's great. And so we ended up, modifying that, working and basically it to where it looks like two ravens. People wouldn't know it because you look at it, you see the M, but the Maven M is actually two ravens that are references to, those two Odin's ravens that were also knowledge communication is kind of how we use it. So
there you go.
That's
see, we're not as nerdy as we may seem.
That's right.
Only a little.
Well, what's the point of doing it if you can't anchor it in mythology,
Yeah, exactly. No, that's a great point.
Yeah.
Great point. Well, so we've got a couple, there's been some crazy stuff going on with the market and the housing market recently with just the number of houses that have received multiple offers and even what we've experienced where a few of them are selling for well over what they are listed for sale for. And they're getting multiple offers in less than 48 hours. And we've actually got a couple examples that we want to review here just to go through what people are experiencing in their home buying experience with, hey, I'm looking to try to find a place that's like it's a place that's on an acre and it's, maybe it's got a shop, maybe it's got a pool. It's in pretty good shape.
The Okie Dream House.
The Okie Dream House, this sort of thing. So we've got a couple here that they've closed recently, but they hit the market and they received multiple offers in a very short matter of time.
These were crazy. And so these were ones just, contributing to your nerddom that you had actually found immediately. We're like, oh, that's a great house. Everybody, that's a great house. You got a client, and picked them as these are ones to watch for everybody.
So the first one we want to look at, this is going to be 4162 Darrell Road in Edmond. This house.
Crazy.
I showed this house. This was a gorgeous house. This was it was on the market for just a few days. They may even show
I'm showing 2 days on market.
Yeah.
Which sometimes that's actually longer than it actually is.
So they received multiple offers and it was actually originally listed, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was originally listed for $350,000.
Yes. Yep.
This place, it had a pool in the back. It was gorgeous. And it was a really nice house. It was just over 2,700 square feet. 4-bed, 3-bath, and it sold in less than 2 days for $35,000 over what it was listed for.
Hold on a second. Oh, sorry. Yeah, no, you're right. Sorry, never mind.
It was originally listed for $350 and it sold for
$35,000. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. No, it's like a 350. It's 10% on a $350,000 house, like that. It went over list price.
Yeah.
So just if anyone's experiencing some of the frustration involved with how competitive the market is right now, what you've been going through, this is what it takes to get a house like this.
Yep.
$35,000 over what it's listed for right now.
And there are things in this house that I know their buyers would walk into, and some of them would be like, I was going to change that.
I can't believe that living room's got that, Venetian plaster kind of.
Look at that backsplash. That backsplash is not all that. Look, I would definitely do a better backsplash than that. It's like that house sold for $35,000 over asking price.
And that's the thing. It's like there are things that a person.
It's a nice house, but there are things people would change on.
So people would go gripe, and on a house that people could find fault with.
Yes, no, it's true. It's true. And listen, there are things that people, when it's such a big investment for yourself, and you're talking about $350,000 or more on the purchase of a home, you need to be happy with what you get out of it. Mm-hmm. You really do.
Oh, yeah.
And at the same time, we need to have like a real understanding of the market and what you're going to pay for what you want.
Yep.
So this is it's a very clear example here where it's just like this house. I remember correctly. I don't even think that they had double vanities in the master bathroom. Just to get super nerdy here.
Oh my gosh.
But I don't think that they had double vanities in the master bathroom.
You're out of control.
So it had stuff that was just like nobody.
Yeah.
People would have problems with that, right?
I don't know how you do that, but you're right.
Yes. So it's not ideal. It would need some stuff that would need to be changed. It went for $35,000 over what it was listed for.
Yep.
Right. So that's one example. There was another one that was, I wanted to point out real quick here.
You're talking about 5220 Butte?
5220 Butte.
Butte?
So this one was listed, it was one day on market. It was listed for $300,000. Right?
Right.
It's on just over 2 acres in Edmond. This had some gorgeous updates.
Yeah, the updates on this one are a lot more trendy kind of look and stuff.
So it's like this house had some really, really pretty updates.
Yep.
It was on the market for a day. It was listed at $300,000. It eventually sold for $330,000.
10%. Like $330,000.
So this is something we want to bring to light the fact that this is what people are going through and they're experiencing on some of these houses and multiple offers right now where it's super competitive, where the supply is lower. The demand is still super high. Interest rates are really low.
Yep.
This is the kind of experience people have been having recently with trying to buy a house that's like this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's on an acre or more. It's got some nice updates. Maybe it's got a pool. Maybe it's got a shop. But these are the kind of things that are happening anywhere around the Oklahoma City metro area.
Yep.
So
they're all multiple offers. They're all like people are just scratching and clawing and fighting.
If you're looking to try to get like what you would perceive as the deal, like I'm going to get a good deal. It's so dependent upon you wanting a house. And when you're talking about trying to get a house that is like the ones that we're talking here, and you're going to go in there and you're going to offer them even list, you just don't even have a chance.
Yep.
No,
if it's like, all in good condition, it's move-in ready, but may need some updates.
Got to be super aggressive with it. Like you really got to think, okay, well, how aggressive can I be when I got to make an offer on a place like this, and then start from that position and try to put something together.
Oh yeah, no, like what am I comfortable enough with walking away from this thing feeling like
I gave it
my best shot.
Yep.
Because if you don't show up to do that, then you're gonna be disappointed. I mean, I had one that actually just closed. It was like 2,100 square feet, right? That had not a huge house. Like that's not a big house for $295 listing, right?
Yeah, sure.
But like really well updated. And it had this massive shop, right? There's this RV.
Oh yeah.
You can drive an RV into it, kind of, metal shop building, right? So exactly what my client was looking for. And we felt like we lucked out because, and we may have talked about this already before, but like we saw it, you saw it.
Yeah, I saw it. As soon as it hit, I thought that you had a client who was looking and immediately.
Within 20 minutes, we got there.
Yeah.
then we made the offer within basically 4 hours.
Yeah. Yep.
And we because the appraisal in the neighborhood was looking like, I have no idea how they're getting 295.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
you know, it's like, hey, weird things happen. We offered 297.5.
Yep.
And so we didn't jump as high as we normally would, but we knew we were quick, right? We knew if they got multiple offers, and they just ended up signing it.
Yep.
Right. And so they got actually another backup offer after ours went through,
Oh yeah.
but they were already locked in with us. And so, overall in the situation for him, it's like it kind of lucked out and worked out.
Sure.
Because he went down from 297.5. The appraisal came in at 282. And so
Yeah.
it pulled it way down, whereas he would have paid that gladly to buy the house.
Yeah.
He ends up getting it for like $15,000 less.
Yeah.
Now some of that was, we kind of worked with them on some repairs and stuff that we were just like, forget that. We'll take care of it. You know, just kind of split the difference on it. But so I didn't come out totally unscathed on it, but you know, ended up buying a place like that for like 282. And it's like, what?
Wow.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
a great deal.
Well, the pace of it, and you were still, you know, the pace of it allowed where you guys made that offer. It allowed you to be, you know,
Like a little more aggressive than like
Yeah.
10,000 over list.
correct.
Because we knew we were so fast and we knew it was so tempting, they might just take it.
Right.
Yeah.
No,
Aaron-
that's great.
You had a client that wrote multiple offers that were all thousands of dollars
Fantastic
over
offers.
that. Like, I mean, how many they
yeah.
wind up losing before they got the deal, even
I think they
making
ended
really
up
good
losing-
offers?
Yeah, I mean, they were making offers. These were like $15,000-$20,000 over list price.
Mhm.
You know, and it was still
Yeah, it's crazy.
so.
Was it your fourth offer like that you got it, or
It was the third or the fourth one. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I know of at least two where that was the case. So it was just, and they're great offers. Like they're great offers.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
You know,
and high
it's
price
just-
homes. It's
normally-
not like we're talking about like $120,000 homes. It's like,
No.
normally they would get shoot in?
Yeah.
So, if you made that offer, you're definitely getting it. Not
Well,
the
and
case.
we're now to the part now where it's just as far as the number of residential properties that are for sale, it's almost 4,000.
no,
It's almost down to 4,000.
I hadn't checked that recently. That's crazy.
It's
It's
under.
4,069.
Yeah. Yeah, no. So we're gonna hit a spot where it's under 4,
Yeah.
and that's just the
Sell your
supply-
house,
supply-
please.
Yeah.
the supply
Do your
super
part
low.
and sell your house.
Yes. No, I think that, you know, we're going to see people who might not, especially with interest rates and what they can get on the one that they purchase, like whether they're downsizing or they just need to somehow get an alternative living arrangement, get something fixed with the way that their house is set up. Like, I think we're going to see people who otherwise they wouldn't have, but because the deal they can
Yeah.
get.
It's just such a discount that's like, okay, we got to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the premium that they can sell their place at.
Yep. Yep.
You know, it's just like, you know, there are people that I know of, it's just like they'd be fine walking away with 15 to 20 grand on their place, you know? And then we just sold it and they're walking away and it's like they're making $40,000 or more, you know, and what they walk away with.
Yeah.
When
Yeah.
they turn and sell it and they could be more,
And
you
they're like,
know?
excuse me?
So
No, and it's not one of my favorite numbers because I don't think it like represents everything. But like the current number because it's like kept going up, right? We were already pretty high, but so June of last year, the high median sale price was like 190, right? And again, I don't like the market wide stuff, but it is what it is. August. So one thing that's a little bit weird is like, so June this year was 199, but then it kept going up like through August.
yeah.
August median sale price is 208.5. It's up $20,000.
Yeah.
So essentially 10%. Now, which pushes past my 6% upper end of what I'm comfortable.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. And so it's specifically because that supply has just kept dropping like crazy. I mean, it's nuts. Like
And the
last
buyers,
year,
especially people who haven't purchased before, they're going to go ahead. They're trying to go ahead and pull the trigger on purchasing a place because of interest rates.
Yeah.
I mean, people
Oh,
can
yeah.
get like a 285,
Right.
which is just an incredible interest rate.
days on market, the low last year was like 14 days on market, which is still pretty fast, right? But
Mhm.
like we're down to 10 days on market
Yeah.
right now.
No,
It's like,
that's crazy. So there's your market update.
Well, look at that. I mean, the high
Still
before that
exhausting,
June
everyone.
last year was like a high for a while. I mean,
every year's a new high. I mean, it's kind of like people talking about the stock market, like how the Dow has reached an all-time high, and it's like that's every year. Like that's how the whole system's built. Like,
hashtag that post
it's inflation. No, oh my gosh. Hashtag that credit system.
Well, we appreciate y'all joining us again on Maven Show. Y'all are terrific.
Yeah, if you stuck around this long, you must be really special people.
Yeah, so we're excited about the people who are joining our team here, joining the brokerage, and getting started with their real estate careers. And yeah, let's just we're going to stay busy.
Let's build this thing.
Yeah, let's stay busy over here. So appreciate y'all. Have a good one. Take care.
Come be nerds with us.
That's right.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for watching The Maven Show. Be sure to subscribe to our channel for all the latest clips and episodes. Also, comment below with what you thought was the most interesting or helpful from this video. And if you want to help us out, please like and share our posts on social media. Thanks so much.